the Royal Code.
Yeah, how you doing,
So
Pop?
what's going on, man? I'm good. How you doing?
I'm surviving right now. I'm living. I'm doing good. We living in like it feel like we in dang 1960s or something. It's looking crazy out everywhere you go. I seen somebody get hung from a tree or something in the middle of a college campus.
Two
Like it's
people.
yeah,
Two
it's one of
people,
the
they said.
I can't lie. Like ever since, like I seen some of this comment, they said ever since 2020, it feels like we've been living in hell because you just seeing any and every like possible like negative, hateful energy just come out of people, and it's really sad to see. I hate to get so dark into like the beginning of the show, but it's like we really
Yeah.
just gotta address like the climate of not only America, because America for sure has its problems, but it feels like it's the world. Like everybody's just kind of like turning their back on each other. You feeling like this aura off of people that's like they don't it's not it's no camaraderie, it's no friendship, it's no hope. It just feels like we all just kind of like in this pit of despair, just kind of like watching it all burn down in front of us, and nobody's doing anything about it. We just have political leaders kind of just there, just watching the show, literally looking at it like this entertainment, seeing how much they'll be able to profit off it, seeing how much they can make their country better or more militarized than the next country. And it's just like,
Man.
I know that was a lot for one take, but it's just crazy to see all just happening so fast, so rapidly in this time. Like I said, it's not like we living in the 1960s. We in 2025
And
and we still seeing the same acts.
and it's very true. It's like, because what I was gonna say, violence in America, what's going on, but it's not just America. I mean, you look at what's going on across the world and what has been going on. And it's true. It seems like since 2020, everything has just gotten dark and just more negative. And, when you look at, it's like what this past weekend or a few weeks, just with how different acts of violence has happened. You've had that young girl that got lost her life on that bus
Mm-hmm.
by that fool. Like that, he's such they were talking about, well, he has mental issues. I don't care. Like, what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, and then the system did fail him, because even his own mother said they should have kept him locked up because of he was a threat to society. Like, this is not his first run. And I'm not saying just because you're a repeated offender that you can't change and you can't be rehabilitated, because you can. There's a lot of people I know them. I have family members. We have family members like that. I have friends like that that's been, back and forth to prison, where you would say they've been institutionalized, but eventually they're like, you know what? I don't want to live my life like this for the rest of my life. I have family now. I'm having kids. Like, I want to see what I missed out because of, issues. And I understand that, you know what I mean? Like, we've all been in the streets. We've all hung with, the people they'll say it's not the right crowd. I understand that, because I have, people that I grew up with that's like that, but at the same time, they've changed. But when you see what happened to that young girl losing her life, like, she didn't deserve that. You know what I mean? And then when you go and then you look at school shootings, when is this shit gonna be done with? It's like, and then the thing I don't get, everybody screaming Republicans, Democrats, liberals, conservatives. None of that shit matters when somebody's shooting up a school. And I'm gonna tell you why. What are those kids? Are they Republicans, Democrats, liberals? Like, they're just going to school. Mm-hmm. So why does it matter when people are losing their lives? What's your political party? That has nothing to do with a loss of life. But it's these fools that's in the government and these politicians. They're stirring this up, but they're not making any sense what you're stirring up. You understand what I'm saying? Exactly. And the big thing is Charlie Kirk. Now, granted, I didn't agree with a lot of things that he said, but I didn't disagree with some of the things that he said. But my biggest thing is the way he went after Black America. I didn't like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because now you're targeting us, and it's like, if you have issues or you have problems with a race, don't just point out statistics. Also point out what you think solutions will be. But if you don't have solutions, then really sometimes it's not best to talk about it. Or if it is, you're going to talk about it, then talk about it amongst Black Americans who you feel can help and do something too, because we have Black leaders out there that he could have sat down with.
Exactly.
You know, but if you're not doing that and you're just criticizing us, then you have to also understand how we're going to feel. But all of that, that man still didn't deserve to lose his life. He didn't deserve to lose his life because of his opinions, his beliefs, his faith, his political party, whatever it was. He did not deserve to lose his life like that. And then to know that his kids, that's who I feel for, because I'm a father. You and your sister, y'all my world. Besides, of course, you know, my wife and other people in my family, but y'all my world.
Yeah.
There's no way in the world, in my mind, that I'm going to bury my kids. My kids are going to bury me. Mm-hmm. Those little girls, this is something that's going to play on their lives for the rest of their lives. And then the thing about it is, it's on the internet. So it's one of those things. And I also said that same thing about George Floyd too. His family will be able to see this over and over and over again. And it's just sad. It's effed up. Nobody deserves to lose their lives the way that Charlie Kirk or George Floyd did. So when you look at that, it's like, what's the solution? I hear everybody blaming everybody. I hear everybody pointing fingers, but I don't hear any accountability being taken. You know what I mean? And it has to be on both sides. It can't just be white America. It has to be Black America. It has to be Asian America. It has to be America as whole, Hispanic America. We all have to come together and figure this out. We can't just point the finger. Everybody wants to point the finger at one race. And right now, we're the race being targeted. And it's why. I understand Black America, we have our own issues. I understand we have to figure out our own problems and deal with them. I get it. But so does everybody else in America. You can't just point the finger at Black America and say, well, you know, this, y'all doing this and y'all doing it. No. Mm-hmm. We have nothing to do with a lot of things that are happening and crimes that's happening in other races and nationalities. That has nothing to do with us. But it's easy to point the finger at Black America because that's who you see on the news. That's who you see in the public eye. They don't show everything else. They only show what they want to. Mm-hmm. You know, so but like, go ahead.
I got a few different takes, but I'll address that right there with just like the news and what's being shown on the news. Everything is so cherry picked to paint a particular narrative, because now it's like all I see is different, you know, what they call immigrants. I don't even really like to use the word immigrants because none of us are from this land. Black, white, Asian, none of us were here except for the Native Americans that are the true native people to this country.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I heard a siren. But the true native people to this country. So I don't really feel that anybody should, one, be taken or separated from their family because of their immigration status, because
exactly,
that has always been something that even when I was a little kid, that was been told to us, to like, this is the land of the free. You have the right to free speech. You have the right speech. You have the right to live. You just have the rights and freedom to be, which was always explained to us that what America is. So I really want to know, like, at what point, and some may say that it was when Trump came into office or when Trump's whole propaganda began is when maybe that started to kind of open up, like when that stopped being, the American dream or the American way, because it kind of radicalized a lot of people that feel like, oh, if you look different from me, if you are not born here, or if you don't speak the same language I speak, then you don't deserve to be here. And there's a lot of different things I've seen, like, especially when it comes to ICE. I'll just Kirk in a minute, but when it comes to ICE, like, they try to prevent people from speaking Spanish outside, from practicing certain religions, and because just to kind of scare them off from practicing their independence, from practicing their freedom. And somebody that's grown up in New York City, I've had the blessings to grow up around so many different cultures, from Hispanic cultures, from Muslim cultures, to Tibetan. Before I even moved to New York, I never even knew that there was people that were from Tibet. And during middle school, I had so many Tibetan friends. I've had so many Asian friends, have so many Black African friends that are actually from like Nigeria, Kenya,
Sudanese,
Egypt,
and things like that. Yeah.
Like, just broadened my scope to what the human race is itself. So to kind of see all of their cultures being taken away, especially being from Queens, like, you grow up in Queens, you can hear Spanish on one block, hear Chinese on the next block, hear rap music and all that on the next block,
Jamaican, yeah,
all that from just walking a few blocks in Queens. So to see that taken away from my city is something that's like, it's so like disheartening to me, because that is what made me who I am. I wouldn't be this person I am. I wouldn't be so knowledgeable if I didn't have the access to all these cultures, like, as well as having American culture as well, because that is an important culture as well. So it's something that is now, that was once so mixed. I remember Queens used to be called the boiling pot of New York City, and now it's like, is that even still the case? Because you have so many people being moved out, you have so much gentrification, you have so many different cultures being taken out of Queens itself, and that is just the scope of what's happening in New York City. I can't speak about how it's happening in other major cities, but I'm sure it's just as bad when it comes to these bigger cities, like maybe LA, Texas, that has like larger Hispanic populations, and other countries, other states that have like larger Muslim populations. So to just see their culture being like stripped away from them and still being told that they're supposed to be here practicing freedom, it's just backwards to me, and it's messed up. But
yeah, it is.
Yeah. But to touch on Kirk, like, I agree with you. Like, no one, and I'll say this before I even mention that, there's been over 200 public, not, I won't say public, but there's been over 200 assassinations of civil rights activists, Black civil rights activists, since 1960s. That's over 200. This is one man that we've seen how radicalized, and the movement that he was able to make off of his death. So for people to kind of see the work that he's done, whether you agree with what he's done or not, whether you agree with some of his statements, whether you agree with his opinions, whether you agree with his sides or not, there's others that have been wrongfully murdered, assassinated, taken away from their children, taken away from their dreams, that have had their lives stripped away from them based off their opinions, based off their religion, based off their gender, based off their sex, like all these different things that they've had in their life is taken away from them. So if we are gonna, how the people who are his supporters, how the people that want empathy, how the people that want his message, that was his positive message, to be heard and be respected, I want for those people to be just as loud for everybody else. That's my major problem. I want everybody to be just as loud as they are for Charlie Kirk, as they are for Malcolm X, as they are for Martin Luther King, as they are for Medgar Evers, as they are for other civil rights activists that just blankets me at the moment. But be as loud, be as angry, be as passionate as you are behind everyone that has lost their life, because not one opinion, not one life is more valuable than the other.
Of course.
So that's why it's like, I hate to see people like, oh, no one should be killed for their opinion. Why wasn't y'all saying this last year? Why wasn't y'all saying that 20 years ago? Why wasn't y'all saying this 100 years ago, that nobody should be killed for their opinion? It just sounds like, oh, like this is just a radicalized statement and opinion that people have now. It's like, oh, no one should be killed for their opinion. And it's like, why? Because it's someone that you follow, someone that you believed in, someone that you felt like was moving in the right direction for you and your people and what you believe in. Is that the only time that applies, that no one should be killed for their opinion? Because there's a lot of opinion. Hitler had opinions. Saddam Hussein
Yeah.
had opinions.
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln had opinions.
Hmm.
Martin Luther King had opinions. A lot of these people had opinions that they were legit killed for. So
Yeah.
it's like, when are we going to understand that people have been killed for their opinions? And
Yeah.
it's only going to stop once we put a stop to opinions being solely involved in politics to the point where you completely remove the human element. People have
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
exactly when you say, like, people will see a school shooting and they'll be, oh, was this is the left or this was the right? Like, why does that matter when a 5-year-old is getting a gun pointed to his face? What does that matter? Where's the human element that's being
Exactly.
taken out of politics, that you just like stop to think, oh, this, like you said, these aren't Republicans or Democrats at 5, 6,
They're just kids
15,
going to
16
school.
years old. These kids don't even know anything about politics. So for them to kind of just be a victim of a right winger or a left winger, extremist, not only is it gonna, furtherly fuel those political opinions, furtherly fuel those political debates, but you're not gonna have no solutions. You're just gonna, like you said, just have people pointing the blame, pointing the finger. Oh, we doing this because y'all doing this. Oh, it's school shootings because there's no restrict gun laws, or we'll restrict gun laws and people will still have school shootings. It's like there's so much debate, no solutions to what we can actually do to solve the problem, and that's people dying for their opinions. That's the real problem.
Exactly. And
Regardless,
see, go ahead.
go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, even when it comes down to different religions, religion is an opinion, and people have been getting killed for that since the beginning of time.
Beginning of time, of course. Oh my goodness. And you look at it, it's like now they're coming with rules where if you are saying anything derogatory or anything disrespectful towards Charlie Kirk's death, you can get to a point to where they can bring legal actions towards you. Of course, people are getting fired. Now, I get it in the sense of where they say freedom of speech doesn't equate to freedom of consequence, because a lot of these people that are getting fired are working for companies that may be privately owned. So they want to uphold a certain image for their company. And I totally understand that. Nobody should ridicule or make fun of this person losing his life, because at the end of the day, it's still a life loss.
Yeah.
The thing where I was, basically having some debates with people, I'm like, well, y'all getting mad at people for making fun or saying things about him during his death, but y'all were very quiet or making fun when Trayvon Martin lost his life, and all he did was defend himself.
Yeah.
When you throw that back at people, oh, but we're not talking about that. Did Trayvon have a following like Charlie? Was he an impact? I had to tell somebody he was 17 years old. We never had the opportunity. We never had the opportunity to see who Trayvon Martin could have become. His life was cut short. And what has happened to George Zimmerman? Nothing. Nothing has happened to him. So it's like
by Kirk.
And you also know they set up GoFundMe's for him. They've done all of this. Mm-hmm. Where was America? The empathy, where was it then? When I did see it happen, where I was thinking, okay, well, we are making some progress and some change. The protest that happened over George Floyd, and it's sad that he had to lose his life for a period of time where we all came together, and it seemed like that's what people are trying to express about Charlie Kirk. And I do get it. He did have an impact. Like I said, I didn't disagree with a lot of everything that he said. It's certain things that he said, I agreed with him.
Yeah, just because you racist don't make you wrong about everything.
Don't make you wrong.
Just because you're a bad person, just because I disagree with a lot of other things you say don't mean every single thing you say is wrong.
That you're saying is wrong. And I can sit here and say he can have an intellectual conversation, but he's not having it with the people that you're basically saying that they should be the ones to make the change or make the help. Well, then those are the people that you should talk to. Those are the people that, because if you would go into these black communities or these minorities communities and talk to these leaders and sit down and talk to the people, they'll open up your mind also, because now you're not just basing it off statistics and fabricated facts, because a lot of the things that come up are fabricated facts. But when you sit and actually have these conversations with these people, you could have talked to people like Dr. Umar. You could have talked to people like Minister Farrakhan. You could have talked to even Obama. You could have had these conversations, and there's more other people too, but I can't think of it right now. But you could have had these conversations with black leaders where they could have opened up your mind. And then when you do relay this message, I think now it would have came from a different perspective. But when you say certain things about Black America, it's like us. If Black Americans decided we wanted to say something against the Jewish community, or if we wanted to say something against the Asian community, we're wrong.
Yep.
If all we're doing is just pointing out everything negative about them, what gives us the right to do that? You see what I'm saying? So, it's unfortunate. And then when you look at it, now we have to rely on politicians now who are very upset, because now it's really them versus us versus them, and it's sad, because these are the people who are responsible for making decisions that affect me and you, and affect you even longer later down the line. Because now what they're doing is they're raising up the next group. And I don't mean from young kids. I mean the 30s and the 40-year-olds that are coming up right behind them. They're making sure they push the same agenda. So now what ends up happening, now it really becomes everyone against the people. But then when you have people that are agreeing with them, well, where's the fight for us? And I don't mean us as Black Americans. I mean us as people that aren't in politics, people that the decisions impact us every day, the everyday, regular, common person. You know what I mean? So it's sad, because no way in my lifetime should I have seen this many school shootings. When I was coming up, unheard of. When you were coming up, unheard of.
Heard of.
Fights, yes. Gang fights, yes. People getting jumped, yes. School shootings, it wasn't happening.
Even a kid bringing a weapon to school was one of the biggest.
They would catch it right then.
And that would be one of the biggest things for like your high school. Like at that time that you was in high school, you seen somebody with a weapon, they got caught with a weapon. That's talked about for the whole.
Of this, it's sad that Charlie Kirk had to lose his life. George Floyd had to lose his life for people to kind of like start speaking out and start seeing that there's issues. It's bigger than race. It's bigger than politics. It's bigger than religion. But the problem is that's what we're using to fuel our arguments. And that's where the problem, where the problem lies. So
I feel like there's like, with everything, when there's a lack of purpose in a person, they are very easily swayed. They're very easily influenced.
Manipulated,
brainwashed, all of that. And I feel like that's just the state of the world. Like if we were all just, considered one being, we are just like lost. There's no human purpose. There's nothing that the human race is itself working to solve. We're all just
Yeah.
here existing, some for personal benefit, some for corporate benefit, some for the benefit of their family, but there's no human unified goal. We're all not waking, that's myself included, we're all not waking up with the betterment of everyone on our mind, with the betterment of just the world on our mind. And I see people when, regardless if you talking or you arguing about Charlie Kirk, you arguing about George Zimmerman, you arguing about George Floyd, you'll bring up one or the other, or you'll bring up what's happening in Gaza, what's happening in Israel. They'll be like, "Oh, that's not our country. We don't. Why would we care about it? Why don't you?" That's
Why
the problem.
don't you? Exactly.
That's the problem, because you have some of those people that have their families there. So those people that are here in America are Americans, whether you like it or not. That's going to affect them. That's going to affect how they feel. I have a few friends that are both Israeli and they have family that's Muslim. They completely confused on how they're supposed to feel about certain things around certain family members, because they're so unsure about who's right and who's wrong due to a lot of misinformation that's given to us from the media. But you also have, again, people here in America don't know what's going on. Like, either free Palestine, or they're in support of Israel. They just want to be a part of something that is against someone else. As long as they are on a side, as long as they have something to defend, as long as they have something to oppose, they feel like that is their purpose. But like I said, there's no unified goal. We not all. Even when I remember, there used to be a big push with saving the world for global warming. It's like nobody gives a fuck about global warming no more.
Nah.
It never went anywhere. Ain't nothing changed. If anything, I'm pretty sure everything got either worse or substantially just sustainable for us to kind of exist. But I doubt that there's been a drastic change in Antarctica. I doubt that there's been a drastic change from climate in different parts of the world that's been completely altered. I doubt that there's been a big change on what's been dumped into the ocean. Like, where's all this stuff going? I'm pretty sure much of it hasn't changed from when I was, very much learning about this every day in school 10 years ago. So it's just that lack of purpose as, the human race. Like, and I feel like nobody has really ever really spoke about that we are not really working towards anything together. We're not working towards the betterment of Earth. We're not working towards
Earth, no,
at all.
So, and on that note, I am the king.
I am the prince.
This is chapter 13, A King to a Prince, the Royal Code. Y'all take care and be safe.
Peace.